This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Lee Rosen and Ned Days cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Here's Lee Rosen.
It's good to be with you today from Bangkok, where we're back for 2 weeks. Both of our kids are living here right now, so we're doing the pop-in to visit. We decided some time ago that it's in the best interest of everyone involved if, as the parents, we just swing by and hang out for a bit without overstaying our welcome. So we're trying not to stay too long. But this time, we have a friend in town, someone who is visiting Bangkok for the first time, and we've been giving her a tour of the city, which gives us a sort of different take or perspective on being here. We took her today for a foot massage, and I got one too. And I have to say that I'm really glad we're doing these things to entertain her, because getting my feet rubbed for an hour, well, that was pretty awesome. I am seriously relaxed right now. So if this segment of the program sounds a little bit slower, well, the foot massage, it may be the explanation. All is well in Bangkok.
It's time for your tech tip. Everybody has one. A website, obviously. I'm not sure what you were thinking of. I often end up trying to convince people that a website redesign usually shouldn't be their highest priority these days. Sometimes it is absolutely necessary, but more often than not, we are looking for something to do to make us feel like we are making progress on our marketing. And while slapping a new coat of paint on the site isn't always the best return on our investment, it's often the case that we have an idea or a specific need that we would like to get up and running on the web in a hurry that will be more useful or profitable. Either an experiment or a fix that we want to test. But by the time we have figured out how to update our site or create a new one or contact our website agency, the moment has passed. We have moved on, something else has come up, and that initial spark of excitement and ambition has vanished. So we go back to answering emails or looking at YouTube videos on how to pull off some kind of crypto meme coin pump and dump scheme so that we can retire early. But there are a growing number of tools that let you use a humble spreadsheet to create a website in just a couple of minutes and then sync any changes that you make to the spreadsheet to the live web page. Some are essentially just a way to make a pretty table on a web page from your spreadsheet. Some allow you to create something approaching more of a proper website, and some let you embed the listings or directories you have created into pages on your existing site. And this can be useful even if you aren't looking to build an entirely separate website or tool. You may just want a quick way to modify something like an employee directory or a page of customer reviews or media appearances on your existing website. We used a service many years ago to include a Google Sheet of referral sources on a web page on our site. Our team could easily update the spreadsheet, and that directory was then automatically kept up to date on our site without anyone needing to go in and edit the code or the content of the page itself. So let's look at a few options that turn Google Sheets into entire websites or content that you can embed on your existing page. Gleanwise.com is set up to basically turn your Google Sheet into a pretty table or directory on the web, more than a full website. Its templates and layouts are fairly limited, but if you just need to turn a sheet into a searchable directory or basic blog, I was able to make that happen in quite literally about 2 minutes. You create an account, you paste in the URL of the Google Sheet you want to use as the data source, pick a template, add some navigation links if you want them, and you are in business. There's some customization available. You can change up the header, add a logo image. There's some basic SEO adjustments like editing the metadata, generating an XML sitemap that you can add to Google, and even the ability to turn off search engine indexing if you don't want the site's content to show up in web searches. You can add a custom domain so that you can access the site either at its own domain name or a subdomain of your main site. There's also some fairly basic user access functionality. By default, your page is publicly available, but you can limit access to a list of email addresses you provide. Gleanwise starts at about $12 per month for a single site, with additional tiers for more sites if you need them. If you need more flexibility and more features, SpreadSimple.com might make more sense. It starts at about $18 a month if you are paying monthly, a little less if you pay annually, and it adds quite a bit of functionality as well as the ability to make something approaching more of a proper website than just a list or directory. Again, you can use it to create a pretty straightforward directory page from a spreadsheet, but you also have a lot more templates right out of the gate and a lot more flexibility in how the data from the spreadsheet is presented. You can set up fairly complex mappings of cell values to data on cards for each entry. Each entry can link to a dedicated page for that item. So you could, for example, have a page of team members, and each member's card links to a dedicated profile page with more information. There's support for adding custom scripts and styles, so you can add tracking or custom code and even have a developer tweak the look and feel if you want. There's a lot more included, but there are two features that really stand out. There are integrations with several billing platforms, including Stripe and PayPal, so you can use this as a bit of a storefront if you are selling forms or videos or other resources, or allow users to pay to add items to a directory. You can also embed spread simple content in other websites by copying and pasting a tiny bit of code, so it's easy to add a listing or directory you've mapped to a Google Sheet to a page on your existing site, whether it's in Squarespace, Wix, Card, WordPress, or just about anything else. This makes integrating something like that employee list or referral list or form library into your existing site trivial. And then you can have your team just make updates to the spreadsheet when it needs to be changed. Now, all of those features mean that a lot happens inside the Spread Simple dashboard. That's where pretty much all of the configuration is happening. So if changes need to be made to the way things are organized or mapped or the look and layout of the content, whoever's making the changes will need to access that dashboard. Sheet to Site, available at sheet2site.com, offers a lot of the same functionality and flexibility of Spread Simple, but once the initial sheet setup is done, almost all of the customizations happen inside the Google Sheet itself. This means you have to follow their formatting for the way the sheet is structured, and if you are configuring Google Analytics or Amazon affiliate links, Stripe, Live Chat, MailChimp, or any of the other integrations, you are pasting codes and API keys into cells on a configuration sheet in the spreadsheet that is acting as your data source. The same goes for making modifications to page layout, colors, logo images, and everything else. There are extra sheets created on your data sheet where all of these settings and configurations live. You are quite literally changing the cell color of the cell labeled header background to change the header background color on the live web page. It's very flexible if you need somebody to be able to update just about everything from the spreadsheet without accessing a dashboard, but it's also a lot of stuff to cram into a spreadsheet, so be aware of that. Sheet to Site also lets you embed content in existing web pages, display it on its own domain, and charge for items or adding listings. It's priced a little higher, starting at about $30 a month if you pay annually, and it's definitely aimed a little more toward power users. So whether it's a new idea you want to get up in a hurry or just a little bit of added flexibility for the website you already have, you might find one of these tools to be a great way to get where you're going without a lot of setup and design. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip.
And now for your moment of concise advice. I keep a performance dashboard for my business on a hotkey on my computer, and the truth is that I may click on it way more often than is reasonable. This borderline obsession, it calms my nerves. Seeing exactly where the business stands, it helps at least me to switch off at night rather than tossing and turning and wondering what if. A dashboard, it really does give a business owner peace of mind. It makes it easy to figure out if you're trending in the right direction, and having all of your essential numbers in one single heads-up display, it saves you from having to rummage through emails and text messages and random spreadsheets in order to figure things out. One screen with your biggest indicators updated regularly. It provides you with the reality check that your brain needs when it's spinning up those doomsday loops. My dashboard is built around my own special psychosis. I like to track right at the top my urgent trouble spots. These are the worst fires that need immediate focus, maybe a high-value engagement that is on the verge of blowing up, or possibly an unexpected invoice from a vendor that needs to be paid, or maybe it's a technology development project that is spiraling out of control, like one of those weapon systems at the Defense Department. Things like time that's being billed or payroll amount, different things. They each trigger different business owners for different reasons. And if any of it is truly mission critical, well, then it needs to go right there at the top of your dashboard. When you see these issues out in the open, it makes it impossible to bury our heads in the sand and hope that they magically resolve. It keeps our focus on our biggest concerns and problems. Now, just down the dashboard, the next thing that I like to measure is the overall satisfaction of the people that we serve in our business, our clients and our customers. And that part of the dashboard might reflect a basic survey on a 0 to 10 scale that we do every so often. Or it might be the reflection of personal calls that we check in with each client and ask if they're red or yellow or green. We color code those folks. Now, happy feedback is terrific. It makes my heart feel warm when we get good news, but lukewarm or outright negative signals, they're really worth gold. They point us directly to what it is that needs to be fixed so that we can stop the cracks before they get any deeper. I also like to keep an eye on the dashboard on how many people drift away from us each month. Churn is what they call it in the business world, and obviously having clients is critical. And so if you're losing clients, well, then you're losing. That churn, the lost business ratio, it reveals whether we're consistently delivering or unintentionally causing them to jump ship. When your eyes are on that metric, when you're keeping an eye on churn, you can catch the warning signs early and you can take action before your business starts leaking revenue like a crack in the hull. Then there's the important pipeline. That needs to be reflected on the dashboard. I track how many new inquiries we're getting, how many convert into real conversations, and ultimately how many of those folks become paying clients. You want a steady flow of new opportunities, and if you see a bottleneck, maybe nobody's booking calls this week, well, then it's time to investigate why the pipeline is stuck. The only way you're going to know to do that is if that information is right there, front and center on your dashboard. Another thing I like to track is marketing efficiency. If you're spending more than you can afford to bring in a new client, well, then you start to drown in red ink. The solution, it might be switching up your ad platform or tightening your targeting or focusing on referrals. Whatever you do, you'll know faster whether it's working or not if you monitor that marketing efficiency cost very closely. Another thing that I've learned the hard way is to keep an eye on the cash that is on hand. 1 or 2 months of operating costs sitting in the bank, that provides you with breathing room. Otherwise, without that cash, even a tiny bump in the road, it becomes a crisis. That's when the stress suddenly kicks into overdrive and all of that big picture strategy that you're trying so hard to focus on, it goes flying out the window. You need to know how much cash you've got all the time. And then finally, I always take a peek at what money is set to arrive soon, what bills are looming in the next few months. Sure, you might not predict everything perfectly when you look into the future, but having a rough forecast means that you're not going to get blindsided by a cash crunch or a delayed payment by a client. It's also a good reality check. If the numbers look grim, well, at least looking forward, you've still got time to hustle for new business or adjust your spending. You want as much advance warning as you can possibly get. And when you're looking at that dashboard, don't keep these insights from your dashboard to yourself. Loop in your team, at least the people who can help you fix the problems, a quick weekly rundown of what is green, what is yellow, or what is red. It keeps everyone on the same page. It fosters accountability. It sparks solutions. This kind of disciplined transparency, sharing your numbers, it's the silent engine behind healthy, growing businesses. Even if you start with just a simple spreadsheet, that can do wonders for your peace of mind. I've consistently scaled my businesses using this approach, and each time I've learned that an organized glimpse into the present, plus a peek into the near future, it beats blind optimism every single time. When you glance at your numbers and you see green lights, you can treat yourself to a night off. But when you see red, well, you'll know exactly where you need to focus before the trouble escalates. That's your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Bangkok, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and Ned today. We hope you have a great weekend and an even better week next week. Keep plugging away, moving forward, and getting things done. You're on the right track. You'll get there, I promise. We're all in this together, and together we build better practices through better marketing, better management, and better technology. Until next time, I'm Lee Rosen.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of lawyers focused on working on instead of in their practices. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your firm. Sign up for free at roseninstitute.com.